Yeah, someone's got to say it. Attack on Titans is very overrated. Sorry, you know what? Let me not even whisper it. I'm going to say it out loud. I think Attack on Titans is overrated. I said it. I don't care what you think about my anime opinions. I don't care if you like them or dislike them. I'm telling you that Attack on Titans is overrated. It's overrated. Guys, big up to your damn selves. But listen, now that's just me being over dramatic, right? That's just me doing the YouTube thing and whatever. Just wanted to grab your attention, to tune in to the channel. But what I will say is, first and foremost, it is a solid show. It's definitely not a bad show. And I need people to understand when I can only speak for myself, but more often than not, this is what people mean. When someone says something is overrated, they're not saying that the thing that they're talking about is bad. So, for example, if you're talking about, I don't know, a football player, if you're talking about an NBA player, right? You might call them overrated. That doesn't mean I think they're bad. They're still good. In most cases, that you still think they're good. It's just the general consensus is a little bit far fetched from probably the actual truth of what that person is or how good that individual is. And remember, this is all subjective. This is just my opinion. I ain't saying this is the factual thing. This is just my opinion. And I'm going to tell you why. So, watching Attack on Titans, obviously, of course, before I watched it, I saw a lot of people talking about it. A lot of people have put Attack on Titans in their like top 5 things and all these kind of different things. No problem. I've got no issue with that. If you believe something is that good, then you should talk about it. You should really talk about it. But I watched it, based off of a lot of people's opinions, people that I respect within the anime community, and yeah, nah, it just wasn't for me. I'm gonna be honest. It really just no. Let me not say it wasn't for me. It was decent. It was decent at best. It was decent at best. But that last like would I say third, fourth season, like going in like really the last season more so than anything. But yeah, those last couple of seasons, it just became everything was just wishy-washy. Everything was it just seemed like they just jumbled everything. They had jumbled a bunch of ideas together that they probably felt. And again, I've not watched this in real time. So I don't know what it was like in real time in terms of their own timeline. But it just felt like everything was so rushed that in the last couple of seasons, the ideas that they probably could have taken if they had an unlimited amount of time, as an example, if they actually had that time, they would have been able to you know walk us through that storyline maybe a little bit better. So obviously you get to the second to last season, right? And come the end of it, you know Aaron's like he's obviously we know Eren to be like this kind of like not savior, but he's the one that we've known throughout this entire series that he's probably going to be the one who's going to probably likely save us from the Titans, right? Or he's going to do something to help towards that in some way, shape, or form, right? But it's going to be for the good guys. It's going to be, we're going to look to him as almost like our savior, so to be our hero, kind of thing. We get to the end of that second to last season, and again, we still have that kind of train of thought. We then start the new season. Obviously, a few years have now passed. Everyone, Mikasa and everybody, they're all older. No problem, right? So everybody's older. So a few years have passed. We now get this Eren who, due to what his dad did and the, would I say, the dreams or the future, whatever he could see into, he's now he now believes he needs to be this individual. Essentially, he's trying to commit genocide. And I'm just like, okay, so now you're almost like Thanos, essentially, right? You're like Thanos, where you believe that I'm gonna have to basically wipe the entire world out in order to cleanse the world of all of the bad stuff, right? Okay, cool. Now the premise of Thanos is always a funny one because I've always said, yeah, like I understand the premise of him as an individual, but yeah, it's a little bit confusing. Anyway, I might do a video on that in itself. But when we're talking about, just Aaron is specifically, I'm like, okay, so in the last couple of seasons, you've thrown in, as I said, what Eren's dad did before, and you've thrown in details in that last well, sorry, you haven't even thrown in details within the last season. So we're almost having to try and guess as to the reasons behind Eren's kind of motives as to, why he's kind of done certain things, and or why he thinks the way he does, and why he's gone to almost this kind of side. And even when you do throw in the little bit of information, it's almost like, but that doesn't really make sense. And it leaves me specifically, it leaves me thinking, okay, I just need a little bit more information, just a little bit more, just enough for me to, would I say, understand the story, in terms of understanding his kind of motives properly. And then, regardless of whether I like or dislike, which is obviously not the point of the actual of watching TV, I don't need to like or dislike it. I just need to understand actually what's going on. And I just felt in that last season, it was just so wishy-washy. It was just so out there. And I honestly just sat there, I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like, so what is now the plot? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, where are we going with kind of all of this? Because then we get to the end, and it then seemed like, I don't know how to explain it, but it almost seemed like like we were playing a game of guess who, almost. Because as I said, like near the end, it's then about Mikasa, because she had to be the one to specifically kill Eren, and that was supposed to be this like deeper meaning behind that. And I was like, okay, but why is that? Obviously she's an Ackerman, so obviously we hear a little bit about Ackermans and the history of them, and who they are in relation to everybody else, and whatever, cool. But we don't get enough of really Mikasa, to be honest with you, anyway. In terms of her own backstory, we just about know that she was taken in by Eren's family, and then it's not really then so much about her family. It's more about the Ackermans in a general sense. So I'm like, okay, cool, all right, maybe we can gloss over that. I'm not going to be too fussed about that. But then she almost plays like this vital part towards the end, and again, like I said, it almost had to be her. It couldn't be anybody else. It had to be her for whatever reason. And I was just like, you just like you've just thrown in, like, we didn't get to hear about like Ymir, and like how her power, split, like how and why really her power split into these like nine titans. And yeah, like honest, like there's so much more that you could really get into. But for me, I just felt like that last season was just so rushed. Like I said, I didn't watch this in real time, so I don't actually know what was it like timeline wise. So people who did watch this in real time, let me know. Were they coming to an end for a reason? Is the manga, maybe the manga will be able to explain this more, because as we know with books, it's always like that, in a general sense, right? So I do understand that. But I'm just talking mainly about, obviously, well, I'm only talking about the series in itself, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, you started off really, really well. The premise of the show, the story of the show, again, I loved it. Like I didn't actually have a problem with it, right? It's literally just the last two seasons. It just made me think, like, I started to get a bit lost. Like I was just so lost as to what the hell was going on. And then I just thought, you know what, maybe I'm just missing something. Do I need to go back and watch it again? Is it that? Do I need to watch it subbed instead? Like when you start asking yourself just various different questions, kind of thing. And I just said, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just leave it. I'm gonna just leave that one, because I I didn't enjoy the last couple of seasons. Like I said, I really like, in terms of just understanding and stuff like that. I just didn't really understand it towards the end. Like I said, you got Bartold and I can't remember the other guy's name, but those two seem to also play like this significant part towards the end. But we didn't get enough depth into those two characters. But for some weird reason, them plus Ymir, they played this real important part of the series, literally. And you're like, oh, okay. Didn't really see much of him, didn't really is it Reinhold, Reinhold? I can't remember his name now. But you know what I'm talking about. And I just remember sitting there thinking, okay, but we don't really get much of them throughout the series. So are we going to find out a bit more about them? That was always my thinking. Like I kept watching every episode thinking, we're going to get deeper into his story, deeper into his story. But then, okay, we're not doing it this episode. Okay, we'll do it the next episode. And then it never just happened. And I was just like, okay, yeah, this is just not working for me. This is just not really working for me. And now I am genuinely lost as to why are these two so important, for the actual story, because they're actually connecting what's actually going on. And they are vitally important to what's happening towards the end. But why are they so important? Do you get what I mean? And yeah, yeah. Honestly, it honestly, like I said, for those who watched it in real time, you'll be able to tell me. But I just need to understand for my own sanity as to what it was I missed. Again, let me know in the comment section. Did I miss something? Was there something I needed to see in order to be able to understand? Maybe that will give me a better understanding. And like I said, maybe I just got to read the manga and then it will probably tie things together, a little bit better for me. But yeah, for me, I just felt that it was a little bit overrated. I'm going to be honest with you. So let me know what you thought your thoughts were behind Attack on Titans. Like, how highly do you rate it? Like, is it in your like top 3 animes that you've ever watched? Let me know your thoughts. I'll catch you guys soon, man. Peace.